So I am, bear in mind I am testing. Don't exactly know how this video share option works on PlayStation. So this is myself, qualified 6th. My teammate qualified in 9th with a terrible start in Jealous. And the field was 13. So we finished quite high up, but it was an interesting race. So Rich is currently sitting in last. Terrible start. But as we've learned, turn 1 is the master of destruction. So you normally wait for a gap and you pick off your opponents. So there was a bit of argy-bargy between the Corvettes and the F-types. You'll see again. I'm just in front of the F-type, there I am. And after the fight there was a lot of arguments between the different manufacturers and teams. But racing's racing, I guess. The guy I'm Groot from the UK struggled plenty. Him and his teammate Skywalker, they were just taking everyone out left, right and centre, as you can see. So Rich is now up to 10th place. I've maintained 4th. 3rd. Look at that. So myself and the Audi had a little bit of a tussle. Subaru had a tussle for a while. Eventually the Scooby got past me, scrubbing some paint there. And my main aim was to come in the top 3. I knew I couldn't beat KLM pace. Excuse me. And the Subaru was quick. So JJ I wanted to beat, and the Ford ahead I wanted to beat. I wasn't too concerned about the Corvettes behind us. They absolutely annihilated tires. So you can see I don't drive with any systems on. JJ vdeo as well, but the Corvettes do. So you'll find the Corvettes are very twitchy, and out the corners they'll squaggle a bit like that, and then traction control will catch them again. But I find it's just more enjoyable having those systems on. So you actually play with it properly, and I try to get my steering as smooth as possible, but obviously with the joysticks it's not so easy. So you'll see the tire wear on my front left especially. So my strategy wasn't to go 8-8. Yeah, I let JJ through. I thought he was quicker than me. Let me try slipstream him and take him later on. So my plan for the first stint was, if you have a look at the bottom left, you'll see I've got racing hard fronts and racing medium rears. And I struggle with the front end on these cars. They seem to eat tires quite a bit. And I notice if I have the racing hards, I can gradually wear the tires down the same, the rears and the fronts. But I will lose time on the front runners in overall race pace, because they're running mediums, mediums and mediums. And KLM as well. So what I tried to do is, instead of running an 8-8 stint, I wanted to run to 9 laps and then move on to mediums and finish the race off on mediums. The problem is with the pit stop is I can't change back to medium rears and hard fronts. I have to choose a set, a compound for the front and rear. So I didn't want to run hards again, because then I don't have the traction on the rear. So I thought, let me push the initial stint, and then my follow-up stint, at least then I can run the mediums on 6 laps instead of 8. So that was my plan. So beginning of the race we started to steady out a bit. JJ slowly pulled from me in some places, and I slowly started pulling him back. Corvettes I started to lose. Rich actually started to pull the Corvettes in quite nicely. But these two were all over the show. I got a bit nervous at some instances where they got close to me. I thought I was going to get dived. I just put my head down and just try to get that 1 second gap so they didn't sit in my slipstream. So on board here with, I think it's Skyjacker, you can see he's just out of my slipstream, so I was in a safe position for turn 1. Corvettes are very quick down the main straight. If you have a look at the fuel, I'm saving quite a bit more fuel than them as well. So they're under 3/4 tanker, probably at about 70%. Myself and Rich sitting at about 76-77%. So yes, they got the benefits down the straights, but through the faster corners they can hold us. The tighter corners we seem to pull away a little bit. Just going through the field, KLM pace, GR4, no, these are GR3. GR3, the Lexus is very, very good on fuel, so you can push a little bit harder and save fuel. Mustang, very quick. I think he did go for a bit of fuel saving. You can see by the short shifting there. The Subaru, I think this chap was just going flat out to try to get to KLM. He didn't want KLM to get away. JJ as well, very smooth on the steering, nice and smooth on the throttle. Try to save as much fuel as you can, and you can see I'm shifting quite early. So exiting the corner. Straights I tend to use a bit more fuel because it is a faster section, but I am shifting 3/4 through the range. You'll see out here as well, I go from second to third quite soon. Oh, second. Down to second. Just to get the drive out. Very tricky section. There's one little mistake and you're off. So down the straights, I wanted to break the slipstream from these guys, so I did use a little bit more revs that I needed to. But at the same time, I didn't want JJ to get away, so I chased as much as I could, just to keep the distance from the guys behind. You can see they're fighting for position, which works in my favor and in my partner Richard's favor. Because the more they fight for position, the more I pull and the more Richard catches. So on board with Rich, he already had one incident with one of them. So Angelus kept his distance. Very smooth on the throttle. He's got his traction control in as well. He seems to think it works a little bit better for him. He was laggy throughout the race on my side. Jeez, a lot more laggy than I thought. So here I'm starting to pull a decent gap, but like I say, I can't stand that left. I haven't said it, but I can't stand that left hander, and I've complained about it with my teammates. So further I am away from the left hander, the better. There we go. Angelus catches up quite nicely. In the slipstream, put a bit of pressure. The nice thing about this game, a lot of people say it's not the best racing game in the world, and yeah, maybe it's not. Our racing is probably a little bit better, but the racing is so involving and it's so much fun to play, and a lot of people have a lot of pressure put on them, and that's when the mistakes happen. So like now, Skyjack has lost the place to Groot. Rich takes Skyjack on the inside, no contact. Very nice clean overtake. Have a look at Skyjack's tires. You can see how he's really demolishing them on. Oh, putting it on fourth. Okay. So Rich also went for the racing hard front medium rears. You'll notice that his wear is slightly better than mine as well. So Rich is racing on a G29, when Jealous is racing on a G29 Logitech steering wheel and pedals. So this is where it gets quite interesting. If I'm not mistaken, the little tussle that they have here, I was quite excited about. I was hoping that they'd hold each other up to give me some space to catch up. But there was a bit of a situation. And the Mustang, if you have a look, the Mustang's tyre wear was terrible. That really worked to his detriment, whereas we preserved our tyres quite well. Subaru's not bad on fuel, not bad on tyres. So the Audis we thought were going to be very strong at this track, but unfortunately they had a bit of a tussle at the beginning of the race, which forced them and the F-Types back. Gambler, traditionally known for flashing lights. So between him and his teammates, they had a nice little race between, but a little too late. They lost the race in the first lap with a lot of bumping. There's the other Audi. Then Skyjack exited the pits in last place. Okay, so Callum had quite a comfortable lead. You could see tyre wear is very, very little, especially compared to the Subaru. Fuel was good. He really dictated the pace from the front. It put a lot of pressure on a lot of the guys to catch up. Subaru slowly started catching him. I'll give him there. Oh. So let me rewind a little bit. So the Mustang actually came into the pits this lap. And when the Mustang came in, JJ had a bit of an incident going through the chicane. So JJ loves to clip this inside curb, but he missed the curb and then ran wide onto the gravel. So you'll see the Mustang over here goes into the pits, and I'm immediately right back with JJ. So down the straight, I did have the upper hand. I don't know why he didn't slip into my slipstream. So I came out the corner a little bit quicker than him, but JJ again was right on me. So I held him up a little bit. I won't lie, I did, but it is racing for position. And he put a lot of pressure on me. You can see my car's very wide all over the place. I knew I wasn't going to catch first and second. They were just way too far. So the dice started between myself and JJ, and it was a very interesting one. My worst corner in the game. As you can see, I don't know where my braking point is and my entry point, and every lap was a different line. So this is a little bit controversial to me. JJ's got the inside, I give it to him, but he doesn't give me the space on the outside. I let it go for a bit. I thought, stuff it, I'll just jump in a slipstream and save some fuel. Oh, sorry. So I was a little bit bleak, but yeah, bygones be bygones. He's a fair racer. But I could hardly stay in the slipstream. I think I tried too hard to stay too close. Just so I could save additional fuel. And JJ, if I remember correctly, pitted it in. He pitted in on lap 8. Let's move forward. So KLM. Again, have a look at his fuel and his tyre wear compared to Subaru. So later on you'll see KLM had a bit of a situation. Should have won the race. But very, very easy. Just taking it easy, not using too much fuel, not destroying his tyres. Subaru's really trying hard to keep up, as you can see. JJ in third, and then myself in fourth. And Jella started catching up quite nicely to us as well. And the Audis were quite far behind, so we weren't too concerned about them. You can see this little Hyundai is quite loose on the rear. Some of the corners the front seems to grab. And that's also where I thought the racing hards would have worked in my favour, is you wouldn't have so much oversteer, because the car would tend to understeer before it oversteers, which did happen. But this corner, I mean, you see a little bit like 3/4 power, whoop, starts to move on the rear. And then my favourite left-hander in the world. Sometimes too slow, sometimes too fast, sometimes too wide. Could have got a little bit quicker, but it's probably the best I've taken it. So once again, I thought, stuff it, I'm out of his slipstream. Let's take it a bit easy, let's save a little bit more fuel. Maybe we can overtake him in the pit stop, because I'm going to be pit stopping a little bit later than the rest of them as well. So Angela's behind me also went for the 9 and 7 pit stop strategy rather than the 8 and 8. Which worked out quite well, I must be honest. And unless first and second made a mistake, there was no way we were going to catch them. They were just too far down the road. Bit of an incident there from Jealous. So, Subaru pits in at lap 7. I thought to myself, pitting in on 7's all good and well, but unless he comes out on hard tyres, he's really going to struggle towards the end. So we were watching him quite closely, myself and Agelis. Wanted to see where it goes. Also very, very low on fuel, 14%, so you probably have to fill up to about 100% fuel to make it through for the rest of the race, being lap 7, which I think he did do. And towards the end of the race, it got a little bit hairy-fairy. We slowly started catching him, which you'll see. So there we go, 100% fuel on medium tires. Okay, so this is the lap where JJ puts in. Now you can see my back left tire, being the medium, is wearing slightly faster than the front left. But you'll notice my second stint with the mediums, how my front left got demolished. There's my favorite left-hander. So if I could have medium rears and hard fronts changing over stints, I would definitely have gone for that and gone for the 8-8 strategy. Lexus also quite a bit faster in a straight line. For using first gear there. Interesting. Right, so JJ's going into the pits this lap. We were going to go for the 10.6 stint, but we lost too much time on the 10th lap with this tyre combination, so we decided to go to a 9.6 at 9.7. Right, so JJ's in the pits, so he's obviously going to come out in front of me. Fuel's also a little bit better than mine. Where am I? Hey, I'm in first now. So I knew I was going to come out behind him, which I didn't have an issue with. My whole thing was doing the extra lap. I'll probably catch up with him towards the end of the race. But like I said, I'm struggling with the front tires when it comes to traction, so we'll see how it goes. That was the plan. You can see this lap, I'm all over the place, and Angela starts catching me nice and slow. Right, so JJ's out the pits, still behind the Subaru. Let's go back and have a look at JJ for a while. So there's the Subaru, quite close to KLM, both done their pit stops now. What you will notice, have a look at the fuel for the Lexus. A lot of fuel was put in. Although they saved a lot of fuel, I think they compensated for pushing in the last stint. So they did come out the fuel quite a bit more than the Subaru. Okay, JJ not so much. So this is the guy we got to watch. The Ford, he did the pit stop early on as well. So I'm sure he was going to push the extended stint, which would not work on that car. So I knew we were going to catch up to him eventually. Right, so myself and Rich are in the lead. We're going through the tight section now. You can have a look on the mini map on the top right. And we're going to be coming in for our pit stop. Now, the thing about this is because we've used a lot of fuel, there's a lot of fuel we've got to replenish, we've got to put tires on, and it's quite a long pit lane. So you do tend to lose about 20 seconds or so in the pit. So there's no way we'll catch KLM and the Subaru. But watch JJ. So coming out the pits, I honestly thought we were either going to come out very close or he was going to come out a second in front of me because of the fuel saving that we did. And again, through this section, JJ clipped the curb and went off. Now, I had not known this. We obviously in the pit lane, we're watching very closely to see where we come out. And if you have a look, the delta on the left hand side, KLM was nowhere near us. Okay, so Skyjacker pulls back in. I come out the pits. Now watch up the road. Okay, there I exit the pits. Now this was quite interesting. So I came out the pits in front of the Mustang. I had the inside line, but I thought stuff it, I'll hold the inside line, and the Ford seemed to pass me on the outside, which is fine. I don't have an issue with that. But I did know that his tires would start to wear. So I put in fuel for 6.2 laps as I practiced, but I used to practice pitting it on lap 10 and not lap 9. So I was actually low on gas, not knowing this until the end. And the Ford's actually on the same amount of fuel as I am, so he must have had the same issue going towards the end of the race. So we had a nice little scrap initially. Slowly but surely I started pulling away from the Ford. Very, very heavy car. You'll notice he's on hard tires, so I had more traction. And then Angela started to catch up to the Ford, and you'll notice he's in front of KLM as well, but not by much. Have a look at the fuel difference between Angela's and myself. So first lap out, I still took it a bit easy with the shifting. I still shifted a little bit early in some places. I didn't want to use too much fuel, but I wanted to get the Ford out of my slipstream. I didn't want him to string on to me. So I did use a bit more fuel than what I probably needed to, still with the intention that I had enough fuel to get to the end of the race. Have a look at the speed difference down the straight. 240, 240. 250, 250. Oh, it's actually not that much. 256, 258. Maybe he's on fuel saving already. So Angela slowly but surely started to catch up to us as well. So you can see I'm getting away from the Ford. Let's focus on this battle for a bit. Well, battle I say, but JJ being quite close to Angelus. Our liveries as well are designed by Angelus. Awesome job at building liveries because I'm absolutely terrible. I swear some of mine are done in paint. That's besides the point. So we've got another team, EKZ Motorsport, that were racing in a different pool to us, and they're racing the Corvettes, and they've got a similar but different livery to us. A very similar design of the camo, but they use the red and the black with a different, kind of the same livery, if I could say that. So we've actually been pushed up to, oh, there goes JJ again. So we've been pushed up to pool 1 for this Sunday's race. It's going to be a very interesting race. The last race of the season, 21 laps with 5 times tire wear, 6 times fuel wear. And we've been practicing, and we seem to have a good strategy. But the problem is, again, with 3 stints and 2 pit stops, we're going to have to start medium rears, hard fronts, and try push as far as we can. So our next 2 stints on full mediums are a little bit shorter, but at the same time fuel saving. And it's on Majono, or whatever Dean or DP calls it. I just know it as the Magnor GP circuit. So I've got a very long track as well of 21 minutes a lap. At 21 laps at 2 minutes a lap. So yeah, Angelus catches up to the Ford. You can see JJ is quite far behind now, so it wasn't a concern for us so much anymore. And the Ford's tyre wear is terrible, being on hards. So Angelus had quite a lot more traction going out of corners and in the braking zones. So here, for example, Rich does take him on the inside. Nice comfortable pass. And pulls away. From here it was a very quiet race towards the end until lap 15. Here we go. So lap 14, KLM still ahead of the Subaru. You can see pulling a decent gap. His tyre wear is better. He's got a lot more fuel. He's in a very comfortable position. And the Subaru pushing very hard to keep up to him. And you'll notice the Subaru is on the same type of fuel as what I am. In fact, lower. And I was 1 lap short. And towards the end of lap 14, something strange happens. Fast forward a little bit more. There we go. So coming down the straight to the tight left-hander. As I said, KLM's tyre wear is still top-notch for 2.5 laps remaining. Just a comparison. Subaru runs a little bit wide there. KLM pulls more of a gap. Didn't notice that. KLM pulls off. Oh, this is what happened. So KLM actually disconnected. So from the server, you'll notice there he disappears. There we go. So KLM was in the lead, and just before lap 15 started, he disconnected. And there was a bit of an argument, tussle behind it as to should he have finished, and I think he should have. He was comfortably ahead with a far better tyre wear and fuel. I'm sitting in second. Rich's or Jealous is now sitting in third. Comfortable lead to the Mustang with terrible tyres. So we were on for second and third. It was at this point that I realized that my fuel was for 1.2 laps and not 2.2 laps. So I had to start fuel saving for 2 laps. So you'll notice Angelus catches me quite a lot. In fact, we had a few tactics that we had to put in place. And Angelus came past me and I had to slipstream him for the rest of the race. Fortunate for me, the Ford was in the same position as me. and the Subaru as well. You could see he's got 2 laps left and he's on a massive fuel save. So he was about 9 seconds ahead of us here. If we had full fuel, we probably wouldn't have caught him, but we were pulling in about 3 laps, 3.5 seconds a lap. If you have a look at the lap times on the right hand side, you'll go up to about 52s. So if we were on pace, we probably could have caught him. But have a look at the tyre wear between myself and Angelus. So as you can see, I'm struggling with the front end, but like I say, with the remote, there's nothing I can do. I just start eating tyres, especially the outer tyre on every circuit. Right, so watch my shifting. So what you can't see here is I'm in fuel mixture 5, which limits a lot of power to save a lot of fuel. So Angelus just catches me flat out on the straights, and then going onto the main straight, he actually passes me and I slot in behind him just to use his slipstream to, number 1, save fuel, and number 2, just to keep up some kind of race pace so we can hold our positions. But in saying that, the Ford is quite far behind us as well. We had about 7 or 8 seconds on him, and his tires were really on their way out. Right, so Angelus comes past me. I'm in Angelus' slipstream. So you can see he's running second there. I run third through this section. But even in fuel mixture 5, I was just trying to short shift to save fuel. So my lap times are 51, Rich's are 48, and you can see the Subaru's running at a 52. So it's 4 seconds a lap we were pulling in. At the end of the race, I think he won by about 6 seconds, but if I had fuel, I probably would have been off 2 seconds off of him by the end of the race. So we wouldn't have caught him, but maybe if KLM was still in the race, we would have put pressure on him, and maybe we would have ran out of fuel, but we don't know. Have a look at my rev range. So Angelus second gear, I'm running third gear. Short shifting. So my apex speeds here is normally about 150 down to 140. Have a look at the speed difference. I'm doing 183 down the main straight. Mustang's also on a fuel saving. He's still doing 220. JJ's 220. And the Subaru is coming through the last corner to take the win with a lap time, final lap time of a 153, I think it was 54.5. Rich was still on there with a 48.49. Oh, it was a bad one. 50, 52, my lap 55. But we placed second and third, which after the race we got dropped to third and fourth. Understandable, KLM got first place back, but that helps our championship. We're lying 7th out of about 20 teams. Final race coming up, we've been bumped up to pool 1, so that will be an interesting race. So we're busy working on strategies and stuff at the moment to get that done. So yeah. Anyways guys, thanks for watching. I'll load some more videos and I'll keep you up to date, and I'll have a live stream on Sunday from about 7:45 to 8.